Oman, an independent monarchy since 1744, is ruled by a sultan. With only 3 million inhabitants, its oil resources have made it a prosperous and modern country, where ancestral customs have nevertheless not been forgotten. This extensive land long remained mysterious, before gradually revealing a warm people. From its deserts to its lagoons, to its empty beaches and mountains, it offers a wide gamut of landscapes, which we are about to discover. As the easternmost Arabic country, the Sultanate of Oman occupies a strategic position. In fact, its vast seafront facing Iran has made it an entry point to the Arabian Peninsula and a crossroads for all trade routes between the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, and the Indian Ocean. Muscat, the capital, has come a long way from the small harbour it long was. The city, one of the most ancient in all of the Middle East, now comprises over 1.3 million souls. The Sultan Qaboos Grand Mosque, located west of Muscat near Borshah, is the main mosque in Oman. After it was financed and commissioned by the Sultan Qaboos ibn Said, construction began in 1995 and the mosque was opened in May 2001. Its immoderation matches only the investments that went into it. With a 26-foot diameter and a height of 46 feet, its chandelier is the world's largest. It weighs 8 tons and owes its luster to the 1,122 light bulbs that it contains, all set in gold. The stained glass was made following the traditional technique that uses ancient glass, lead setting, and patterns that are carved and painted before being oven-baked to trigger the vitrification process. The Persian carpet in the main prayer hall is exceptional with many regards. It measures 230 feet by 200 and weighs 21 tons. The wool and cotton threads come in 28 colors, most of which were created using vegetable dyes. To complete the 1.7 billion knots, 600 weavers from the Iranian province of Khorasan worked for 4 years. This is the old Muscat, nestled in a coastal recess ever since the Portuguese decided to make it a naval base in 1507. Jammed between two fortresses, the historic centre only stretches along 2 miles. These big white houses were once the headquarters of several embassies that have since migrated to more modern neighbourhoods. With its blue and golden dominant colours, Al Alam Palace looks straight out of a tale of the Arabian Nights. Nowadays, this former residence of the Sultan is only used for receptions or ceremonies. Facing the imposing yacht of the Sultan, the Cornice of Mutra houses one of the liveliest souks of all Arabia. The alleys are filled with frankincense and sandalwood fragrances. The frankincense is natural. It is extracted from a tree that grows in the south of the country. Certain shops are replete with precious stones reminiscent of Aladdin's cave. Given the heat, the dress code with regard to shoes is very simple. Most wear comfortable sandals that are often made of leather. The traditional outfit comprises a dish dasher, which is an ankle-length tunic. Men wear a kuma, a round, embroidered hat for which they carefully choose the fabric and diameter. The cheap goods from Asia that have invaded the souks have little in common with genuine kumas, the making of which is refined and meticulous. First, the band that will surround the head is selected. The hatter then stitches the top, based on the patterns chosen. Several little streets of the souk belong to the gold and silver merchants. Here, jewelry is sold by weight. Clients come to have their necklaces, earrings, or pendants customized. The combinations are often surprising, notably when junk is used to enhance a gold brooch. On the other side of the cornice, the late morning marks the returns of these boats from fishing. All the fishermen's barks are nice and solid, on top of having powerful engines. They're mostly subsidized by the Sultanate. The fishermen leave after the morning prayer and return before it gets too hot, once they've pulled up their lines or their nets. Much like anywhere else, the great industrial ships have impoverished the resources, causing volumes to decline. The fish that isn't bought by the wholesalers goes directly to the market just a few feet away. Haggling is the method of choice. In the nearby village of Sidab, the fishermen's wives have created an organization called Women's Sewing Group. Muna al-Zadagli manages the association that was founded in 2004 by Badria al-Ziabi and Sue Ross, an Australian.
We don't do this for money. It is primarily a way for us to get out of the house, to congregate, and to put each of our members' competences to good use. Naturally, the fact that we sell our products also allows us to generate supplemental household income.
Towards the end of the 1970s, the development of Muscat relied on a rather ostentatious architecture. Today, even though a few pharaonic projects are still being undertaken, several buildings turn out to be a great success, such as the Opera House, which was entirely financed by the Sultan. As we leave the coast towards the east and the Hajar Mountains, we come across Nakhl Fort, one of about 500 forts scattered along the mountainous region. They existed long before the advent of Islam. The local topography allowing the development of an efficient defense system through these sentinels of stone. Oman's forts were greatly influenced by the Portuguese and Persian architectures. These buildings have many things in common. The wells, which were vital in case of a siege, beautiful private quarters for the wali or leader, and a dungeon with arrow slits above the doors in order to pour oil, boiling water, or honey on the assailants. As they continue on the road to Hajar, the visitors are surprised by the importance of the mountain range, in contrast with the usual image of desert and sand associated with most countries of the Persian Gulf. Alternating between palm groves and villages, often abandoned, such as Nakha, the region is filled with streams that irrigate a few fields in this mostly mineral environment. At an elevation of 6,500 feet, the plateau of Jebel Shams opens onto the spectacular canyon of Wadi Nakha, an astonishing example of erosion. The region's highest summit peaks at nearly 10,000 feet. Jebel Shams, which means Mountain of the Sun, was named because of its gorgeous sunsets. One of the key elements of life in these regions, where summer temperatures often exceed 110 degrees, is the smart exploitation of the streams through an ingenious irrigation system named a falaj. Dates are one of the main resources of the palm grove of Hamra al-Abriyan. The harvest takes place in the early morning. With 270,000 tons a year, Oman is the 8th biggest producer in the world, way ahead of Tunisia and Morocco. This culture is a lucrative business. A significant part of the production is exported to India, South Iran, and the Gulf countries. Dates are particularly fragile fruits that often require to be dried before they can be transported. The dates will lay in the sun for about 4 days before being packaged. After the early work, it's time for a traditional breakfast made of buckwheat pancakes.
This is Omani bread. I mix some flour with water and salt before cooking it on the hot plate.
Cooked in a pan, these dried beans will complement the meal.
This is halubi. They're dried beans that we cook in water with onions, salt, pepper, and chili pepper.
Some of these houses made of clay are over 400 years old. They generally comprise 2 stories that are built with palm tree beams and walls of clay mixed with hay. The preservation of this historic heritage is far from easy, as know-how was gradually lost and the Sultanate called upon Moroccan craftsmen to renovate these emblematic dwellings. Slightly isolated, the Safar family is seething with excitement. We're in October, just a few days away from the celebration of Eid. They're making halwa, a traditional dessert made with sugar, almonds or walnuts, corn flour and melted butter. The heat may be suffocating, but the family will work tirelessly over the next 4 days to honor all its orders.
It's delicious. It's creamy, with dried fruit in it. It's very sweet.
As we leave Hamra, we take a weaving road towards the upland. At 3,200 feet, the village of Misfa is firmly anchored in stone. At the bottom of the village, date palms occupy most of the space. Higher, the houses enjoy the relative coolness of the altitude and the streams supplying the falaj, the small meandering irrigation canals. The water comes from numerous uphill streams. On the road in the valley towards the south, the castle of Jabrin is a must-see. This fortified residential palace from the 17th century was subject to considerable restoration work in the early 1980s. The high vaulted halls and the Mughal-style archways are a testament to a setting that was once sumptuous. From the arabesques to the decorative motifs and verses from the Quran, everything was sculpted with extreme delicacy. The 3-story building, several walls of which are painted with astrological patterns, served as a residence to the imams that came from Iran. We're now a little further south in Nizwa, the country's capital in the 6th and 7th centuries. It is 7 a.m. on this last market day before Eid al-Adha, the feast of the sacrifice. To all the livestock farmers in the region, this is the most important day of the year. The animals walk around the bigwigs and the merchants, while the owners try to tie up the biddings. Potential buyers inquire about the price as the sellers go by. They often wait several rounds before they start bargaining. Deals are then quickly made. All around the Nizwa fort, craftsmen are hard at work. The rifle remains a strong symbol and must hence be finely decorated. Sulman purchases wholesale silver from Sohar on the road to Dubai. Along with rifles, these curved daggers called khanjars are another important accessory, ranging from a simple model to a delicately decorated masterpiece. The Nizwa fort is one of the country's most impressive. The foundations of the current building date back to the mid-17th century. Construction took about a dozen years, and the fort was regularly renovated and transformed after that. With its 100-foot height and 120-foot diameter, the tower is monumental. The platform could fit 23 cannons, covering 360 degrees. Nizwa's network of falaj is one of the nation's most spectacular. It's also on the UNESCO World Heritage List. The canals stretch over 5 miles, carrying water that stems from a source buried at 56 feet. The falaj allows the irrigation of nearly 420 acres. Leaving Nizwa towards the heights of the Al Fayadhiyah Plateau, a genuine haven of coolness nestled at 7,200 feet, one can spot several hillside villages that use terrace cultivation. In Wadi Bani Habib, we're in the heart of pomegranate country. During this month of October, Salam al-Fadi is harvesting the last pieces of fruit.
We start the harvest around September 15th. It lasts about a month and a half. The trees have a lifespan of about 50 years. After that, they bear a lot less fruit. That's when they need to be replaced.
We're now lower and further east in Ibra, at the gates of the desert and its Bedouin populations. On the eve of Eid, the goat and sheep market is the main attraction for visitors. Since this market is a lot more confined than Nizwaz, the buyers are positioned very close to the animals, so they can stop and touch them to make sure the latter fit their needs. More often than not, Bedouin women wear a black burqa and actively participate in the sales. Men also sport a small cane that was once used to whip the dromedaries. The day before the celebration is one of the most lucrative for all craftsmen. This is also a time when copious meals are shared with one's family, in addition to the dried fruit on which everyone nibbles during the day. The desert makes up 70% of Oman's total surface. The dunes of Shakia are but the mere beginnings of one of the most scorching deserts on the planet. While the Bedouins have been settling near schools and dispensaries for the past few years, they continue to live in the desert, breeding goats and dromedaries. In Hal Wassel, the Luhibi family moved into this house with the help of the government. The mother raises the 7 children while the father looks after the dromedaries. She dabbles in arts and crafts for the visitors that pass through, yet feels very nostalgic about the desert.
I like living in the desert. That's where my heart is. But I have to stay here for my children. Because in the desert, we don't have any water, electricity, or school. But in the desert, there isn't any noise. There are no cars. It's really nice. We can live among the animals. That's where we feel safe.
Many natural pools called Wadis hide in the desert. One of the most spectacular is that of Wadi Bani Khalid, which gradually shrinks the closer it gets to the source. The erosion has created a strange setting, enhanced by the clarity of the water. This is a unique location for those looking to cool down. We have now branched off towards the northeast in order to get back to the coast in Sur, the last port of the Gulf of Oman, before the Sultanate dives into the Arabian Sea further south. At dawn, the dhows come back from their fishing expeditions. Some were out at sea for over 4 days. The crew members come from Bangladesh, but the owner is Omani. Given the efforts undertaken, the catch is measly, as the irrational practices of the Asian factory ships have decimated the entire seabed. The situation has dramatically deteriorated in just a few years. Nevertheless, a few beautiful marlins make the crewmen proud. In Sur, one starts to dream of the exploits of Sinbad, the legendary sailor. This is where the most beautiful dhows in all of the Gulf countries were built. Nowadays, the shipyards are idle. At Juma Kassoon's shop, 2 boats are being completed for a rich Qatari family. After an 18-month traditional process, the wood boards are caulked with pitch and tow. The carpenters are from Kerala, a state in South India on the other side of the Arabian Sea. As a sign of the times, the cheaper and more resistant fibre hulls have stormed the market. Several beaches stretch along the Gulf of Oman, most of them deserted. People come to find some coolness in the early morning or late afternoon. Needless to say, the water temperature is remarkable. At a slight distance from the beach in Al-Dabab is this astonishing cave, which, according to the legend, was drilled by a meteorite. A more likely explanation is that the carving was caused by erosion. At any rate, the underground pleases those seeking cool water. We now head towards the north of the country and the Musandam, the extreme tip of the Arabian Peninsula, which faces the Straits of Hormuz and Iran. Until recently, this succession of fjords had been a protected military zone, but now it's open to the public. In Kasab, the biggest city in the region, the free zone is one of active trade with the Iranians that have traveled the 30 miles across the strait on their powerful motorboats. Musandam is essentially explored by boat, for there are very few roads. The fishermen's dhows pass those of the rare visitors who come to enjoy these amazing landscapes. These villages, such as Kanaha, have only just emerged. The government now supplies them with running water and electricity, and the children go to school in Kasab by boat. The fishermen are worried here as well. Since the water near the coast is too warm for them to find any fish, they have to go deeper at sea and compete with the factory boats that scrape the seabed. We're now at the southern tip of the country, in the Dhofar Governorate on the border of Yemen. The sector faces India and receives some residual monsoonal rains between June and August. It's highly enjoyed by visitors from the Gulf countries, longing for a little coolness in the summer. Bordered by beautiful beaches, the coasts are equally enticing to strollers or swimmers. But what made the reputation of the region above all is a tree called Boswellia sacra, which allows to produce the rarest and most precious form of frankincense, hujari. It is found a little further inland from the coasts or in the mountains. The trees, which grow in the wild, are property of the government and grouped together in plots, the cultivation of which is conceded to local families. The tree is notched so that a white, sticky resin can trickle out of it. First, the resin is left to dry on the tree before it's dried in warehouses in order to get solid crystals. We're now in the center of Salala. The typical smell of this unique type of incense pervades the shop of Kassan, who is originally from Yemen, a country with unrivaled expertise with regard to the trade of this exceptional product.
This here is white frankincense. There's also a beige variety and a darker one. And we have Luban, which is a bit more masculine. Luban has healing virtues, especially for the respiratory tract. The white frankincense is a bit purer. You can chew on it to feel better. We usually burn the darker kind because its smoke releases a nice fragrance. As for Luban, we generally use it 1 hour before the dusk prayer as a way to chase away the evil spirits.
At night in the sparkling shopping centres, families come and get some fresh air. Everything that makes this region unique and so different from the rest of the country can be seen. Former colons from Zanzibar, Yemeni merchants and Bedouins from the border with Saudi Arabia. Mirbat is the main harbour of the southern tip of the country. These boats return from a 3-day fishing campaign. Much like in the rest of the country, the sailors are primarily from Bangladesh. Between the tuna fish and the skipjacks, they'll need several hours to empty the holes with their bare hands before the heat becomes overwhelming. The Sultanate has done a good job organising and encouraging the development of commercial fishing. In terms of volume, it is now the number 2 Arabic country behind Morocco. Mirbat is a fisherman's village, much like any other in Oman, with big houses, the construction of which was encouraged by the government. Dromedaries remain a major means of transportation in the region, even though the great caravans have been replaced by 4x4s. Historically, the trade of frankincense had left an imprint on the region. In order to export it, King Shabwa had founded the harbour and city of Sumhuram in the lagoon of Khor Rauri in the 1st century BC. In this lagoon, which is now obstructed by sandbanks, the dhows would cast off after filling their holds with the precious freight. The Greeks, Egyptians and Romans made copious use of it in their religious ceremonies. Indian sailors would also come with boats filled with cotton cloth, corn and vegetable oil in order to barter. They often spent the winter there until they could catch favourable winds to get home. Extensive excavations have highlighted the existence of a huge palace with imposing staircases and towers where the frankincense was stored. Today, the wild birds have reclaimed the premises. Over 186 species live there. Thanks to this providential monsoon from India, the edges of the mountains and the fields around the Wadis are verdant, in total contrast with the rest of the country that is practically deprived of greenery. The dromedary trade is still flourishing. Used as domestic animals, they are also sought for their milk and their meat, in addition to the dromedary races enjoyed in many countries in the Gulf. A Directorate of Camel Affairs was even created in 1989 in order to preserve this genuine national heritage. As green enclaves, the waterways are a special treat for those who stop by for a picnic or a stroll, delighted by this regional originality. They're also a perfect place to relax for the foreign workers. The restaurants that offer camel meat can be recognized by the typical strips drying in the sun. The meat is cooked in the oven next to the sheep or prepared as a stew and served with gravy. In the nearby village of Taka, a fort used to be the primary residence of the sheikh. It dates back to the 19th century, but its originality lies in the fact that it was built with a mixture of local rocks, limestone and coral. At the bottom of the fort, the locals adjust their traditional outfits, and especially the turban, worn on public holidays. Today is Eid. On this special occasion, the village is having a dance performance. As the sun sets, carpets are gathered in front of the fort. The public figures sit around them. The luxurious coasts of the Dhofar often resemble the Indian region of Kerala, with their palm groves, coconut and banana plantations. The annual production of coconuts reaches nearly 7,000 tons, 2,000 of which are exported, the rest being for local consumption. Bordered by the seaside coconut groves, the site of Al-Balid dates back to the Mujais dynasty in the 10th century. It used to trade with China, India, Africa and Europe. Ancient rowing boats evoke the long route that the frankincense was transported by caravan, from the highlands to the holds of the dhows. Initiated in 1952, the excavations revealed the remains of an ancient city in 1970 that was identified as Zafar, which Marco Polo had visited in 1295. We head back to the center of Salalah, where young women are putting the finishing touches on their henna decorations. This is a valued skill around the time of Eid. The preparation used nowadays is a dark-colored chemical mixture available in stores, as opposed to natural henna, which comes from a shrub that produces tints ranging from orange to red.
The local women use it around the period of Eid, but also for weddings or receptions. It's become a real job. I have to adapt, as certain women want finer lines and others prefer thicker lines. It all depends on the nature of the occasion.
This delicate art, reminiscent of calligraphy, requires skill, patience, and experience. After the application, the paste will dry to leave an ink-like mark that will remain visible for about 3 weeks before it fades away.
لا بعدين انت صرتي هنا انت منا وفينا خلاص انت الحين في بيتنا كيف واي حد يعني يفوت عليك هنا.
We've come to the end of our journey in this country that eludes the cliché of vast barren lands in spite of being part of the Arabian Peninsula. The richness of its traditions, the often luxurious diversity of its landscapes, and its maritime dimension make it one of the best-kept secrets in all of the Middle East. And no matter where you are, the story always ends with a stunning sunset.